While preparing dinner for my wife's entire family, I stepped into the garage for more chairs and heard her brother say, "I still can't believe you married this loser. Dad's right. You need to divorce him before you have kids and get stuck forever." She replied, "Already working on it. My lawyer says we can take half his business too." I returned with the chairs and continued hosting with a perfect smile. 3 days later, my WhatsApp was flooded with 47 desperate messages begging me. Something felt off about Alexandra the week before her family dinner. Not the normal kind of off. Like when she's stressed about work or annoyed, I left my boots in the hallway again. This was different. She kept checking her phone when she thought I wasn't looking, switched tabs whenever I walked behind her laptop, and started taking calls in another room. After 7 years together, you develop a sense for these things, like how you can tell when a wall isn't plumb just by looking at it. Look, I never thought I'd be writing one of these posts. I'm not the type to air dirty laundry online. But I'm sitting here at 3 a.m. with a glass of whiskey, still in disbelief about how my life imploded in just 3 days. I need to get this out somewhere, and you internet strangers are getting front row seats to the shit show. Some background. I'm James, 34. I built my construction business from scratch after dropping out of community college. Started with just me and a beat-up truck. Now I've got 5 crews running projects across the county. Nothing massive, but it pays the bills and then some. Alexandra, 32, is my wife of 7 years. I supported her through law school, paid tuition, rent, everything, while building my business. She comes from an upper-middle-class family that never really approved of the blue-collar guy their daughter brought home. Her dad, Elijah, is some kind of financial advisor. Her mom, Pamela, is in real estate. And her brother, Thomas, thinks his business degree makes him God's gift to capitalism. Here's the thing. I always knew they thought she could do better. The side comments about my little business or asking when I'd go back to school never stopped. But Alexandra always defended me, or so I thought. Last Saturday was the annual spring dinner at our place, a tradition Alexandra insisted on to show off our home to her family. I spent the morning prepping the yard, pressure washing the deck, and helping with the cooking. Everything had to be perfect for her family. I'd been up since 6 getting the smoker ready for the brisket I'd been dry aging all week. Alexandra was more tense than usual, snapping at me for small things, but I chalked it up to the usual family dinner stress. Everyone arrived around 4. Her parents, her brother Thomas and his wife, her younger sister Magnolia, who's still in grad school. Alexandra's mom immediately started critiquing the living room furniture arrangement, while her dad asked pointed questions about how business was going, with that tone that suggested he was waiting for me to admit failure. By 6, we were ready to eat. I'd set up the dining table with our good plates, the ones we got as wedding gifts and barely use, but realized we needed 2 more chairs from the garage. As I headed out through the side door, I heard voices around the corner of the house. Thomas and Alexandra were standing by the azaleas, sharing a cigarette, which was weird since she supposedly quit 3 years ago. I was about to call out when I heard my name. I froze. Thomas was saying how he still couldn't believe she married this and that their dad was right. She needed to divorce me before having kids and getting stuck forever. What Alexandra said next felt like taking a sledgehammer to the chest. She was already working on it, and her lawyer said that they could take half my business too. I stood there, completely numb, as they laughed about how I had no idea what was coming. They kept talking, something about someone named Dominic being a much better fit for her, and how she'd wasted her best years with me while I was playing construction. Have you ever had a moment where your entire reality just shifts? 7 years of marriage, the countless nights I stayed up helping her study for exams, the vacations we skipped so she could afford law textbooks, the extra jobs I took to cover her student loans. All of it suddenly looked different in the harsh light of what I'd just heard. But I didn't yell, didn't confront them. Something inside me went ice cold. I quietly backed away, grabbed 2 folding chairs from the garage, took 3 deep breaths, and plastered on the fakest smile of my life. Walking back inside, I caught a glimpse of myself in the hallway mirror. I looked perfectly normal. Inside, nuclear wasteland. The rest of that dinner was surreal. I poured wine, carved the brisket, laughed at her dad's terrible jokes, and watched my wife, this stranger across the table, act like everything was normal. I studied her face, trying to find the woman I married. Had she always looked at me with that barely concealed contempt, or was I just seeing it now? When her mom complimented the food and asked for my secret recipe, I nearly lost it. 7 years of family dinners, and now she decides I might have something worth knowing? I explained the dry aging process with mechanical precision while my brain screamed. At one point, her sister Magnolia gave me this weird look, like she was trying to figure something out. She's always been the only decent one in that family. I wonder if she knew. After dessert, Thomas raised a toast to family and future changes, looking directly at Alexandra with this smug little smirk. I clinked glasses and drank, thinking about how satisfying it would be to break that crystal stemware across his face. When they finally left around 11, Alexandra started cleaning up, humming to herself. Humming, like she hadn't just destroyed our entire life. I told her I'd finish the dishes and she should get some rest. She kissed my cheek and said I was such a good husband. The audacity nearly made me vomit. After she went to bed, I checked her laptop, password protected, new for her. But I knew she used the same pattern for most accounts. Third try I was in. The emails to her lawyer started 3 months ago. The plan was to file after she secured a partnership at her firm, using my income to help her status, then divorcing me once she locked it in. There were spreadsheets documenting my business assets, our accounts, even a fucking timeline for the divorce. And there it was, a transfer record showing she'd been moving small amounts to a separate account for months, just under amounts that would trigger notifications. Smart. Lawyer smart. I checked our joint savings, 20,000 missing, the money I'd been putting aside for the business expansion, our future. Then I found the text with someone saved as D. Apparently Dominic wasn't just a better fit. He was already test driving my replacement. The text went back 6 months. 6 fucking months. I didn't sleep that night, or the next. I called in sick to work on Monday, first time in 3 years, and met with a divorce attorney while Alexandra was at the office. Guy named Mike, who a buddy recommended. Told him everything, showed him the screenshots I'd taken. Mike laid it out straight. In our state, she could potentially get half my business value since it grew substantially during our marriage, even though she never lifted a finger to help with it, even though I built it from nothing while supporting her through school. When he told me the potential settlement amount, I almost blacked out. Everything I'd built, everything I'd sacrificed for, cut in half and handed to the woman who was planning to blindside me. I remember asking Mike, "So what? I just bend over and take it?" He started talking about amicable settlements and minimizing damages, but I was already gone, mentally. Something fundamental had shifted inside me. That night, Alexandra asked if I was feeling better, brought home soup, acted concerned. I played along, said I was just tired, probably coming down with something. She suggested I see a doctor. The performance was Oscar. I nodded, thanked her for caring, told her I loved her. She said it back without hesitation, those 3 meaningless words falling from her lips, while she planned my financial execution. I watched her scroll through Instagram as we sat on the couch, stopping to like a photo of us from last Christmas that her sister posted. The caption read, "couple goals." I nearly laughed out loud. It was like living with a stranger wearing my wife's face. Every movement, every word felt calculated. Had she always been this person? Had I been blind for 7 years, or had she changed? Does it even matter? Here's the thing. I've never considered myself a vindictive man. When contractors try to screw me over, I usually just cut ties and move on. When clients don't pay on time, I work with them. But this was different. This wasn't business. This was my life. As I lay awake that second night, watching her sleep peacefully beside me, probably dreaming about spending my money with Dominic, something hardened inside me, a clarity I've never felt before. You see, Alexandra and her family always underestimated me. They saw the calloused hands and lack of degree, and assumed I was simple. They never understood that building something from nothing requires intelligence, strategy, patience. I started making phone calls the next morning, first to my bank, then to my business partner, then to a few key clients. By noon, I had a plan forming. By dinner, I knew exactly what I was going to do. Alexandra wants war? Fine. But she's bringing a butter knife to a chainsaw fight. This isn't about money anymore. It's about showing her and her entire family exactly who they decided to fuck with. The loser they looked down on for 7 years is about to give them a masterclass in consequences. So here I am, 3 days after that dinner, finalizing my blueprint for demolition. And just like any good construction project, you need to lay the groundwork before you build. Tomorrow, everything changes. Alexandra thinks she's got it all figured out, but she has no idea what's coming. Neither does her family, or Dominic, whoever the fuck he is. I supported her dreams for 7 years. Now I get to watch hers crumble in real time. Update. First, thanks for all the support on my last post. Never expected that kind of response. For those asking if I've calmed down or if I'm thinking more clearly now, nope, still pissed. Still moving forward, just more strategically now. Look, when you build something with your hands, you learn that rushing just creates problems you'll have to fix later. Revenge is the same way. It needs a proper foundation. The morning after I posted, Alexandra left for work like any normal day, kissed me goodbye, reminded me to call the plumber about that leaky faucet in the guest bathroom, asked if I could pick up her dry cleaning. The absolute normality of it was surreal, like watching someone sleepwalk through a minefield they planted themselves. As soon as her car pulled out of the driveway, I got to work. First order of business was securing my actual business. Called my accountant for an emergency meeting at the coffee shop down the street from my office. No way I was doing this over the phone or at my workplace, where employees might overhear. Here's the thing. When you're building a business while supporting someone through school, you make compromises.